All right, we are live with Austin Hatfield, the de facto rookie of the year of the CrossFit Games. We'll talk about that a little bit. I don't know what happened to that.
Yeah, has that been announced yet?
I don't, I don't know, man. You might have got screwed on that, but we can make you the de facto rookie of the year.
I like it.
Yeah, so it's interesting. You're kind of I found out that you were a little bit of a rare interview. I can only find two. I remember watching them, but I didn't watch them again because I just don't like getting other people's questions in my head.
They weren't that
Um,
interesting. Yeah.
I remember watching the Castro one and it being interesting because I think the rabbit stuff hadn't really been widespread yet.
Yeah.
So for me, that was interesting. You didn't have your own stuffed animal, so.
No.
I should have had it flipped the other way where it says Pitt. So the reason I got Austin here is because we had a little bet about Pitt, West Virginia. He is of course, West Virginia through and through. And Pitt and West Virginia have a rivalry going back a long time. Yeah, backyard brawl. Yeah, so I wanted to hear about that because you're a lot younger than me. 24, is that right?
25. Yeah, 25.
Okay, got it. Now, we don't have. Oh no, we do have some people here. They're just not commenting. Okay, that's okay. So, did you grow up as a kid like watching West Virginia football?
Yeah, I've watched all sports growing up, but I definitely watched football and just being from West Virginia, being a West Virginia fan.
Got to be. How far are you from Morgantown?
About 3 hours.
Okay, and then
we're more south in Beckley.
Okay. Oh, we lost you for a second. You're back. And then I'd mentioned I have some friends in Wheeling. Is that? But I don't really know my geography anymore. Is that far from you or Morgantown?
It's closer to Morgantown.
Okay, got it. Yeah, I've gone there to golf a few times too, but I haven't been down that way. We used to drive through there on our way to like Florida and to the Carolinas. I mean, I didn't really recognize it at the time, but it's definitely beautiful. It was kind of tough though when you're making a long trip doing all those curves through the mountains.
Yeah, you got a lot of mountains.
A lot of mountains, a lot of trees. So you grew up there now your whole life, West Virginia? Did you ever live anywhere else for school or anything? Okay, wow. Born and raised. That's awesome.
Born and raised.
I can't remember if you were one of the ones who played football or not.
I played football my senior year in high school.
Okay. Yeah. Senior year in high school. All right. And then were you at that college? So you started CrossFit. Let's see. That would have been about
sophomore year of high school.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you've been doing it for a while.
I've been doing CrossFit like the methodology for a while, but not like competitively.
Okay.
So I would go in and do like a CrossFit class, not like train.
That makes sense. I've always been curious about like in everybody's story. I'm always curious to hear. Usually it's like they go in there and they just kill it right away. Not always. When did you know? So you started CrossFit and you like sports, you're athletic, you're strong. So I'm sure you were pretty decent at some of the movements. When did you actually like know how far in that you're like, oh, I could be really good at this?
I don't really know if there was like a clicking point. I always knew I liked it because I was competitive and that's what it was about. Like even with like the class workouts, like, being competitive with other people in your own class. But like, I think where I found out maybe I was good enough was I started like seeing like my open scores and like, I didn't really go do like individual competitions.
Yeah.
Just kind of like open scores and like doing a workout or like a benchmark workout that I see other games athletes doing. And I was like, well, I'm doing pretty good in those. Just something like that.
So you think you were like actually kind of didn't realize at first that you were pretty darn good? Like, do you remember? I mean, how long did it take you, for instance, on the Olympic stuff? Because you think about stuff like Grace and things like that. You could do it with bad form, but you got to know, I guess, some Olympic. Did you get into that Olympic stuff during football, or did it take you a while?
No, like Olympic lifting.
Yeah,
I got it. So very first CrossFit gym I walked into was CrossFit Iron Fury.
Yeah,
and I had the people that owned it. Eric Daniel, he was a great Olympic lifting coach, CrossFit coach. So like that was like the base. Like he based
Nice.
everything off of me, and so like a lot that I know and a lot that I still know, like gotta give credit to him for that.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's really cool because it's I spent a good, I only started CrossFit in I think 2021, and the first, let's see, well, basically 3 years, I didn't really learn Olympic, like, like, and still, like, I even posted on my stories today, like, I work on Olympic in my
Yeah,
spare time, and I do slow motion stuff. And we're kind of the only class I can go to is really kind of like an open gym. So there's not really a coach.
yeah. So
Um,
so
yeah.
I was doing Tuesday and Thursdays. Was he did an Olympic lifting
Oh,
class,
nice.
and I did that for I want to say 4 years.
Yeah.
Just like never
Wow.
missed.
That's awesome.
So I definitely had a good base in Olympic lifting and a good
Yeah.
coach.
That's awesome. Yeah. It's like 3 years of bad habits.
Hmm.
I almost even hate doing it during the WOD or the Metcon because you're trying to go fast through it. And when I'm practicing, it's not that I'm going slow, but I have cues that I'm thinking about, and I've got to the point where, like, I'm working on cleans right now. I do a lot of tall cleans, things like that, to
Yeah, I just
practice
did
getting
those the
under.
other day.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, those were like groundbreaking to me because like 3 years of bad habits, my natural inclination is to just heave everything backwards and then get stuck back there. And
Hmm.
and so the tall cleans were what helped me learn, like, oh no, you're pulling under and getting under
Yeah,
as
you got
fast as
to
you can.
speed underneath the bar is a big part
Yeah,
of it.
exactly. My tall cleans were like almost the same as my actual clean. So once
Yeah,
I
for
got
sure.
that feel, yeah. And so, but even during WODs, I almost hate doing it because I can't do it yet with good form during a WOD. It's just going to take a while. So
Yeah, once you start to bring some intensity into it, it changes things a little bit.
it does, man. Like I go look afterwards. I'm like, oh my gosh. But
Yeah.
well, that's cool, man. So I wanted to ask you something. So obviously, JY John Young, I got the shirt on representing John Young. He's
That
been,
guy.
yeah, he's been hot on you for a while. He kind of called it and stuff, and you bailed him out there at the end. What did do you know how because he called it a while back before you were really on the map. Do you know how he found out about you, or was there a certain event he saw you at or anything?
Honestly, I have no idea.
He set me up, man. He told me, he's like, I'm like, hey, I'm interviewing Austin on
It
Thursday. I'm
might
like,
have it
yeah,
might have been Wadapalooza qualifier maybe,
okay,
or it might have been like that is a good question.
yeah,
It
I
might
didn't
have
know.
just been the semifinals from the
Yeah,
previous year.
okay, could be. He does pay attention to that stuff a lot, and he will remember people. Like, there's people that weren't even at semifinals that I'll ask him about, and he'll have an opinion on them, but then he'll give a few reasons why, and you're like, oh, he actually knows this person. So,
Hmm.
well, he told me to ask that, and I didn't know if he was asking because you knew or because he wanted to know if you knew. So I'll find out
No,
later. Um, how are the rabbits, man? How are they doing?
they're doing good. Rabbits are always doing good.
How often do you have?
Multiplying, all like always.
Yeah, of course. How often do you take them down? I just remember from the doc or mini doc that Hiller did. You
Yeah,
take them down a certain amount of times. I can't remember. How often do you do that?
about once a week.
Okay.
It's kind of on like a like ear to ear, like they'll let me know.
Yeah.
But normally it's about once a week, normally around the same time of like a Monday,
Yep.
and I'll take 20 to 25 at a time.
Makes sense. And now, how many? I don't know if this was covered or not, but how much time does that actually consume per day? The rabbits? Is it like a?
It's not a lot.
Yeah.
I would say all in all, 2.5, 3 hours a
Okay.
day. So it,
Mhm.
it doesn't take up a huge chunk. It's
Yeah.
just like the same thing every day over and over.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Monotonous.
just it's just I'm super like routine. So like I'll wake up at the same time every day.
Yeah.
I eat a lot of the same things every day.
I'm the
I'll
same
go
way with
through the
food.
I'll go through the rabbits and then I'll go like my day is simply what you saw in the video. It's
Yeah.
what I do every day.
That's cool though. I mean, there's nothing wrong with routine. I feel like
No.
with my ADD, that might be difficult, but I mean, even I have a routine. So, uh, I was curious about, like, when we talk about the routine and the workout routine, I was curious about like how much of the whole, getting ready for the games and things like that, especially your first games experience. People talk about overtraining, they talk about ramping things up. For you, I think somebody else said to me, since they haven't done it before, they have to be able to kind of trust their coaches and the people that have been there.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious what it looked like kind of going into the games versus now, and if it's that much different or what it looks like.
It's a little different now. We've before the games, it was definitely like, trust the coaches. I have a coach, Jake Nomchev, and like I leave a lot of it like in his hands or like a
Yep.
coach's hands. I just try to focus more so on, go in, put the work in, tell me what to do, and I'll do it.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I am.
Yep.
So like overtraining and anything, felt really, really healthy going into the games. And I feel like that was a big factor. A lot of people were getting hurt or got injuries at the games or had a couple of things tweaked here and there.
That's true. Yeah.
So I felt super healthy. Felt, not like 100%. You're doing 5 workouts a day. You're, you're pushing your body to the max. So you're not going to be 100%. But overall, I felt good, felt healthy. But now training's slowed down a little bit. Hoping to do Wadapalooza coming up soon.
Nice.
So
awesome.
I've talked to my coach about that.
Yeah.
And he's really dialing in like what we took away from the games, what I need to work on. Not so much what I don't need to work on, but what maybe I need to work on a little bit less just because I may already have that in the bank. And then coming back and do some touches on it.
Yep.
But it's so right now I'm just going through getting the little things that were at the games that I messed up on, fixing those and doing a little tweaking here and there.
Yeah. Is Rogue something that you've announced, or that I don't want to like spill any secrets here or anything? I don't remember how many get invited, but is that something that is happening?
I don't think I got invited to Rogue.
I thought top 10 did.
No, I think they changed the
because they had the world. Well, that sucks because typically, and you'll have to forgive me because this is the first year that I've really like paid attention to everything, to semifinals, Wadapalooza, all this stuff. Like I'm super into now, but I haven't for that long. Now, Rogue traditionally, at least
I think last year it was I would have got invited under the last year's invitation system. But I think this year they changed it to like that 0.2-year system, something like that.
Yep.
Not 100% with it myself either.
Does it skew heavier? Because I just remember them doing max deadlifts, which I don't see, or is that just happenstance that I saw them doing that? I remember Chandler doing
Rogue,
like 600.
Rogue competition.
Does it
like what the programming? I think they like to program like odd object, like heavier stuff.
Because I think the connection to okay. Well, that seems like it could be up your alley then. So, dang.
Next year.
Oh, man. No rookie of the year, no Rogue. That's messed up, man. You did what you're supposed to do.
It's been a rough year.
Hey, so is going in, your goal you had said was top 10, I think, right?
Yeah.
Did you think in your head, like, I'm always really curious, because when you're at that level, like you're better than everybody but 9 people this year. Like that's a lot of people that you're better than. So like if it were me and I was that good, I feel like I'd be going in like, top 10, but really, I think if I do really good or the programming's right, I'm going to be podium. Did you have any of those thoughts? Does that go through your head at all?
Yes and no. I mean, like you were talking about earlier, like when did I find out like when I was good enough? I think that kind of came into play too. Like at the games, like you go in and you see these guys that have been around, the veterans and whatnot, and you kind of like compare yourself to them. Like, am I better than so and so? And I had some of that, and then like once you hit the floor, like you're not thinking about any of that, and the competitive side comes out, and I like to win. So,
oh yeah, for sure. So after like the slow start, I mean, is that something that runs through your mind? Or are those like some, man, it's going to be tough to get to sleep tonight? Like you're not meeting your expectations to start out. Obviously we had some crazy stuff happen. I get that.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, like you really turned it on there at the end. Were you? Did you have any of those thoughts go through your mind? Like maybe, man, maybe I'm just not as good as I thought going into this, or no?
No, not
Yeah,
necessarily, and that's a good part about having a coach too.
yeah,
Was I remember? I think it was before there was a Friday Night Lights. It was I had not done good on the first two workouts. I had a couple things happen, um, and it was before the Friday Night Lights workout. My coach was like, "Hey, what do you want to do on this mile run?"
yep,
And I was like, "I want to win my heat." Like I was in the first
yep,
heat. Like you beat those guys, get a good enough score. Hopefully the second guys ran a lot faster than I thought they would. Um,
yeah,
but he was like, "Are you?" Because the past two workouts were not very good for me, and he was like, "Are you mentally ready for that?" And I just was like, "Yeah." So like
yep.
mentally,
That's cool.
like the confidence during the competition was good, and I
Yeah,
think that showed on the back half. Just that I wasn't going to give up.
yeah. Oh yeah, dude, it was exciting, man. I didn't even, I've anybody who I've like interacted with or who's been on the podcast, you sort of naturally start to root for them a little bit more. But a lot of the people around me, I think just from the Castro interview, the whole the rabbit thing, John Young, the Hiller doc, there were a lot of people rooting for you, particularly in those events that you were just crushing it. I'm curious about the mile. What was your mile time?
5'11", 5'12", something like that.
Was that a PR or no?
A an all-time PR? No, I think I ran
Okay.
faster in high school, but I was
Okay.
also
Less weight.
165
Yeah.
pounds.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
um, it was probably in the past year. Probably yeah, it probably
Okay.
was.
Yeah. A lot of people PR'd during the mile run, which is
Yeah,
interesting the way that competition pushes you like
but
that.
that atmosphere was that was a
Oh,
really fun
that
one to
was
be
probably
at.
the funnest. Yeah, that was for sure. I love that. I don't know where it's going to be. I don't know anything, but definitely hope we get that again because that was a great environment for that. I'm shoot, what was I going to ask? Oh, and not to get into anything controversial at all, but I'm just curious about your experience um on the swim, like what it was like for you. Are you I don't remember. I actually don't remember what your finish was on that. I don't think you're known for your swimming. You can correct me if
No,
I'm wrong.
I've kind of known for being a bad swimmer, and
Okay.
I've been trying to work on that.
All right.
Um, I finished 30th, I think, on that
Okay.
workout.
Yeah.
Um,
And what was it like for you, like hitting the water and stuff? You hear all these
it
things.
was it honestly it was really really hard. Like it was a really hard
Yeah.
workout. The run for me went super smooth. I think I entered the water right around ninth to 11th place, right where I wanted to,
Yep.
and I was just trying to hold
Oh,
on
nice. Yeah.
and not get past, but I went from like 10th to 30th in the water.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
I know one person that didn't pass you, Jack Rosema.
no, Jack didn't pass me.
Sorry, Jack, if you're watching, probably not.
Me and Jack are about the same at swimming. We swam
Okay.
together before.
It's awesome.
But just I mean the overall workout, it was a really hard workout.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like halfway through the swim, I was like, man, I don't know like how I'm gonna make it to the end. Like
Yeah.
it
That's what I
was
hear from a lot of people.
well, and that too, and me just not being a good swimmer.
Yeah.
Like I was like, this is terrible.
Yeah.
Like
Now,
there
are
were a
you?
lot of inside thoughts going on in my
Oh
head.
yeah. I mean, because you're in there for a while. Yeah, that's brutal. So, was there when you go from the run to the water? Is there one of the things I was curious about is there a mental expectation of water will feel refreshing, and then because it's hot, it's like, oh, now I'm in
Yeah,
trouble because you don't get that
especially
refreshment.
I was training here at home
Yeah.
and like we don't we our hot days were, probably 80, 85.
Yeah.
Um we sometimes would see a 90, very rarely. But just that water temperature here, yeah, I was doing 3.5 mile runs every other week or twice a week doing the swim workout, training and stuff. And you would get done with the run and you would jump in the water and you'd be like, well, this feels pretty nice. Not the case, not necessarily
Yeah.
in Texas. The water was pretty warm,
Yeah.
muggy, couldn't see a whole lot. The
Yeah.
just the sun positioning coming right up in your
Yeah.
face. There was a lot of factors.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of things that a lot of, again, without getting into controversy, there were a lot of things that really lined up, just like you said, with the sun and the goggles and the water it
Yeah.
just, in the course, it just kind of, some things that you couldn't really, in my opinion, see ahead of time. But so one of the things that people have talked about is like that I haven't experienced, because I'm not really a swimmer. I mean, the most I've done is a few laps at the YMCA.
Yeah.
And just the difference in being in open water fatigued. Do you get that? Like during this, do you get a panic about you that you have to overcome? Is that just something that happens in open water swims?
Yeah, I feel like if you start to panic, then you have to. I don't know. I kind of got comfortable, like not trying to go too fast, not trying to
Yeah.
get outside of my comfort zone.
Yep.
Which then again may have reflected my placement in
Sure.
swimming.
Yeah.
But I was pushing it, but I never got into that like, oh my gosh, I'm in trouble situation.
Yeah.
Like I was just trying to stay consistent in my
Yeah.
swim.
Yep. Okay, so programming wise, I haven't heard your opinion. I've only heard John and a few other people's opinion, but so I'll just ask you without kind of inserting theirs. Obviously, we got a few events cut short, and there's been a lot of opinions. Programming wise, how did it line up for you with the events that you got?
I liked them. I didn't have anything against them. I mean, I think a couple of them were classic CrossFit workouts.
Yeah.
Something that I like, something that I excelled in.
Yep.
I know the skew was towards the bigger, taller, maybe more cardio aspects of it. But then again, I feel like I have to take some reflection on that, and I need to get better in some of those areas, and that's what we're working on.
Nice.
So there's no excuse on an event or anything like that.
Makes sense. Now, as far as looking back at like, I think it was on barbell spin that I heard did you miss one of the heavy cleans?
The last one, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Would that be, if you're looking back at anything that you could have changed, just I guess tactical wise, would you say that's it, or were there any other moments that you're like
to take one big one? Yeah, I would have to take that one back, and it was just a heat of the moment. There wasn't a thought. Like I've had a couple people asking me, like, hey, did you think you were going to miss that clean? And I was like, no. I mean, everything was feeling good. Everything was feeling snappy. And I mean, the arena was full, so the adrenaline was there.
Yeah.
But just to go back, I would take a second. Like John was saying, like you had time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would take a second, look around, and then go.
Yeah. What's the heaviest clean or power clean that you've ever done?
Heaviest clean is 400, and then power clean is 370.
Okay. Interesting. I like that. And then is the clean the better lift for you, or are you just as good at snatches as far as weight wise?
I'm good at snatches, but I would say I like cleans better. They're just like less technical. You can I feel like I can always hit a heavy clean like anytime I go into the gym.
Yeah, I agree. Something particularly like when we talk about squat snatches, like I said, I'm working a lot on cleans right now. Something about getting under a snatch is just a lot harder, especially with, I got a little bit of mobility with my shoulders going back, that I probably need to work on in order to get better at it. And I just haven't had time. And
mobility is a big part of it, but just the fact that you have to, the technique of a snatch is so crucial.
Yeah, exactly. You can't really get away with anything. Whereas I feel like on a clean, you see these guys.
You can muscle clean it. You can do the football players. They don't have very.
They
good
look
form,
so
really
it looks
strong.
so bad. Like you look at the Saquon Barkley one and a few others, and
Yeah.
it's like, how does he do that? His
Just
knees are
pure
like completely
athlete.
forward. Just athlete
Yeah,
for
just
sure.
strong.
All right, so you've got well, I'm glad to hear about Wadapalooza potentially here. So is that now again, I wasn't really following it as much last year, but did you do Wadapalooza last year, or have you done it before
Yeah, I
multiple
did.
times?
Last year was my first year at Wadapalooza.
Okay.
Placement wise, I think I was outside of the top 10, just
Yeah.
outside of the top 10.
Okay.
Um, then again, my worst event there was a swim.
Oh yeah.
Um, took, I think I took exactly the same place as I did, like 30th or
Yeah.
31st.
Yeah.
But every other event, I think I did very, very well in. Always, what ifs, what if I did this? What if I did that? But I mean, overall, that being my third live competition, I was really just trying to rack up experience.
Third live competition was Wadapalooza last year. Wow.
So
So
yeah, my first live
yeah.
competition was 2023 semifinals.
Wow. And then what was the other one? Were you at Crash?
Crash Crucible.
Okay. So when you were competing at Crash, was that Jack Rosemo was there, right?
Yeah, Jack was there. You had Colton Mertens, James
Yeah.
Sprague.
That was a great lineup.
It was a good field. It was, and that's exactly what I needed. I needed a smaller venue competition. Go in and purely. I mean, I won. I ended up going and winning. Um, but initially, the thought was, I mean, I wasn't even doing. I didn't even have a coach. I didn't even have a certain type of program. I was just
Yeah.
following Mayhem Athlete, and it was just go get experience. And I mean, ended up coming away with the win.
So this is crazy. I knew something was going on. Give me 2 seconds here so we can. I'll let you get out of here and everything. Wrap this up. But
Oh, you're
somebody's
good.
asking a question. I was like looking at my phone because I'm like, this doesn't make sense. I've never not had comments, and it appears that somehow something happened to my comments. So give me 2 seconds.
No,
Guests
just
can
no
see.
nobody wanted to watch me.
Yeah, no, there's
What it
people
is.
on. It's just guests must authenticate. Guests can stream their own play sound.
Derma.
Guests must authenticate. And I've done enough. Frankly, I've done enough of these now that I should know. I've just never had this happen, so it's a new experience.
It's my fault.
Yeah, it's your bad luck, man.
I got some weird lighting going on behind me too.
Dang this. Oh, it's not bad. Let me try one thing here real quick. Now I wonder if Nathan asked me. So he must be in there. He asked me if I go into this without questions written down. No, Nathan, if you're watching, I don't. This is from a group chat for the Sevenistas, which is pretty much the crowd that's always on the Savan podcast. And a
Yeah.
lot of them will be in the different podcasts. But okay, well, that stinks. Oh well, but it'll get you out of here sooner. So Wadapalooza, we got that. Now between Wadapalooza and obviously then we go into the open season. So it'll pretty much just be Wadapalooza and then the game season all over again, right?
More than likely. That's what is planned so far. I mean, you might have another if something else comes up. I mean, I'm open to a lot of things, but as far as now, yeah, the
Sure.
plan is Wadapalooza and then focus on the games.
That makes sense. Do you have anybody at Mayhem? Because I know you guys, now I'm assuming you traveled there a few times. You guys did the mocks and everything like that.
Yeah.
Did you have anybody, whether Mayhem or anybody else that you've come up through the kind of through CrossFit with, who you've had a little healthy competition with at all?
I feel like every time I go there, it's everybody. So like
Okay.
we do the mock workouts, and
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of times when I go up there, I get paired up with Jack Rosema, Luke
Yeah.
Parker.
Okay.
I've done a couple with Roman. It's a super healthy atmosphere up there. Like
Yeah.
it's not overly competitive, but We are. We do go up there. We push ourselves
Yeah,
a little bit harder than you would when you're alone, maybe.
I would think. Yeah.
And that's good to get in every once in a while.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, and then I'll wrap this up just with a few fun questions here at the end. But the one other thing, kind of going back to the games, I'm curious. A lot of people have mentioned different things. Like I know a lot of people's backs were blown up after all those deadlifts. But when you come back, okay, well, I guess my first question would be at the games. Is that, especially particularly you having only done this many live competitions, does the games feel totally different body
Yes,
wise?
yeah, because there's obviously more events,
Yeah.
and the level of soreness is a little bit more, I would say, but it
Yeah.
doesn't get. But then again, you're also training for it.
Yeah.
So we train a lot of volume, so we try to prepare for that. But no, you are pretty wrecked at the end of it.
Yeah. So like when you get home, you're just like, man, my body is destroyed.
Yeah. Well,
Is
when
what
you
I
get
would
to the
imagine.
after the first day, really, Sunday, honestly, didn't feel the best, but it
Yeah.
felt better than Saturday, if
Yep.
that makes any sense.
That
And
does
I've
make
I had
sense.
a couple people tell me like, "Hey, Sunday, you're gonna feel better than you did Saturday," and I'm
Oh,
like,
really?
the way I feel on Saturday, I was like, "There's no way I'll feel any better." But you do
I've had that happen.
you kind of just it's just one of those things like you just kind of got to suck it up. Like you're gonna be
Yeah.
sore.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
everybody else is sore too.
So when you got back, did you just take straight time off or did you still get out there and get active pretty quick?
No, I think I took a full week off.
Yeah.
Didn't do anything. I didn't even go to the gym.
Yep.
Um, and then the next following week, I was like, went in, did what I wanted to. The fun bro stuff. I hit some bench press and pump workouts with a couple of buddies of mine.
Yep.
Did a little cardio here and there, but it was all what I wanted to do. And then after that, me and my coach, we got together and talked about moving forward, and we've been working ever since then.
That makes perfect sense. Okay. For the games next year, have you already thought about, like, now that you've done it and you've come in the top 10? I feel like I feel like it's super impressive. Anybody who comes in the top 10 twice, like,
Yeah.
it just kind of proves like you're consistent, you're for real. But have you given thought, like, are you at the point yet where you're not going to be satisfied with anything less than podium? I mean, you came in top 10 your rookie year. I feel like that's where my mind would be, if I'm being honest.
No, yeah, I've talked to my coach and expectations and things, and he knows I'm competitive, and he even has to remind me during like the open and the
Yeah.
quarterfinals. I'm like, dude, I'm like
I'm redoing
30th.
this.
I'm like, dude, I'm like 30th in this workout. He's like, dude,
Yeah.
it's the open, and I was like, I want to win.
Yep.
So going into the games, I'm gonna keep the same mindset. Podium's always a good goal. Like you said though, the top 10 is something that if anybody repeats the top 10, it's very elite.
Yep.
But no, I would like to make a run, possibly top 5 to podium.
Okay, got it. I'm gonna just do a quick instead of doing my questions. I'm gonna do these. I can see your chat. So something that happened was somehow it says that this is a private video. YouTube doesn't support comments on private videos. That doesn't make sense because people are in here. So I'm gonna ask just a few questions here, and I will get you out of here. Philip
You're good.
Kelly, thank you for calling this a professional show. I appreciate it, and I know that is sarcasm. Who's running this shit? Mason Mitchell. That's fantastic. Thank you. Hamster on a wheel. Blah blah blah. Do you have your L1? There, we got a real question.
I did have my L1. I think it's expired now.
Okay,
I used to.
got it. Do they? Don't you get something if you go to the games where you can like re-up it or something if you want to? I could be
News to
wrong.
me.
Okay. I'm not saying that question, Philip Kelly. That was inappropriate. Okay. So Augustus Link says, so a guy who hit a 1 rep beat him when it was only 90% for him. He must have been responding when you said mention. What
For
was the
the
heaviest?
clean.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
So what? It was Medeiros. So a guy who hit a 1 rep beat him when it was only 90% with him. But it might have only been 90% for Medeiros. I don't know.
No,
That was
think that
probably
was
his max.
Medeiros' 1 rep max
Oh,
of all time.
of all time. Okay.
Yeah.
So I understand that now.
And that's the 2-time champ with experience.
That's a good point.
That's what gets you is that was a rookie mistake.
I never thought of it that way. That's interesting. Yeah, he's just kind of probably going in there pretty cool, calm, and collected. And
It's just execution. That's all it was.
Yeah.
It was,
yeah, definitely. It's just
and I would say as far as, if we did it again, might be different.
Yeah. It's just weird because you don't quite think it. Now I get it. It's different on a ladder, but when you think of heavy lifts and cleans, you don't think as much always about the, planning. You just kind of go up and hit it, but it's amazing that potentially 5 seconds could be the difference between hitting a lift and not hitting a lift.
Absolutely.
One of the things I was wondering is like, I was putting myself in that situation. I'd be like, man, I would not be able to help but be paying attention to people in my heat. Are you honed in, or do you see people in the corner of your eye and think I got to go?
The first two rounds of the clean ladder, I was just solely like zoned in and kind of tunnel vision, just because I knew like my ability and I knew what I could do on the clean ladder.
Yep.
But the last round, I think what did catch me was I was looking left and right a little bit, and whoever was to my left was picking up the last barbell at the same time that I was thinking of. And I think I was like, if I don't hit this now and I don't go now, I'm going to lose. So that kind of maybe me having more tunnel vision would have helped, because he also missed the lift.
I thought I remembered that.
So
from watching it in the stadium,
from not having tunnel vision on that last round and running my own race.
Yeah.
I think him trying to race with me kind of messed us both up.
That would be hard. Yeah. It'd be really tempting, but that,
because I didn't know if he was going to hit it or not. And it came down to it that we both missed.
You both missed.
That's just part of it.
All right. Kenneth DeLapp wants to know, when are you forming a Wadapalooza super team with Colton and Scott Tetlow? And I don't think this is a fair question, because I think you're taller than both of them, aren't you?
I think so.
I think you are. You're like, what, 5'8"? No?
Yeah, I'm 5'8".
5'8"? All right. Yeah, you're taller. They're like 5'5", dude.
Yeah.
Let's see if we have anything else here. Turn a light on, Hatfield. You're fine, dude.
I know, dude. My lighting is going down. I was getting ready to say turn a light on.
Mason Mitchell says you have to roll the dice some. Yeah, well, better than waiting too long, maybe. I don't know. I don't know how much it made a difference, but yeah, that's about it. The only other thing I have to ask you before we get out of here is what is the deal with and I mean no disrespect, but West Virginia was supposed to be pretty good going in. I mean, obviously when you have 2 losses, it's a little bit bleak as far as national championships.
Yeah.
But it was Penn State, and Pitt is very underrated, and it turns out we got a really good quarterback, and it was in Pittsburgh. So
it was a good game.
It was a good game. And refs sucked. But
the flags were terrible.
There were some bad calls on both sides, yeah.
And it just ruins the flow of a ball game.
Agreed.
But we were joking as West Virginia fans, and it was only something that the Mountaineers could screw up.
That's right.
Was that lead, that time that we had.
That's right.
And just our coach just not coming out with a good game plan at the end. That's all it was.
I mean, because you guys, what were you guys ranked coming into the season?
I don't believe we were ranked coming into the season. We had.
I might have just seen your name like where it says other teams at the bottom or something.
Yeah. Now going into the season, we had a lot of expectations. We had Pat McAfee, who went to West Virginia. He was talking us up and all that, and we had the big Penn State.
You had McAfee?
Yeah, we had McAfee come to Morgantown. It was
That's
cool.
Awesome.
So yeah, McAfee was in. We were projected to win the Big 12,
Yeah.
so we had a lot of expectations.
Yeah.
But I mean, we still
Well,
have plenty of games left. So
you can still go on a run for sure. And then the one last question here was Mason Mitchell wants to know why no crash this year.
just something that I talked to with my coach, and just the turnaround from the games. Like I was telling him, if I'm going to go into a competition, I want to go in prepared. I want to go in to win, or at least have the confidence that I can win.
Yeah.
And we just talked about bigger picture. So not doing. I love Crash Crucible. I still talk to JR all the time.
Yep.
One of the better events ran that I've been to.
Yep.
I just feel like bigger picture, focusing on the games, was more on our agenda this year.
Yeah. Yeah. It's also, I feel like being top 10 at the games, kind of what you mentioned, like you want to going to win. And it's, even though there's not like all these huge names the same as at the games, there's some people there that are some sleepers, right? Like,
oh no, absolutely.
Like you go in and Colton didn't make the games, but like any given workout that's right for him, or I mean, he's still a beast, you know? So
no, absolutely. There's the crash lineup this year is absolutely insane.
yeah.
They've got a lot of good guys.
Yeah.
And women too. I mean, on both sides.
Yep. Agreed. Yeah, no, it looks fun. It'll be fun. You gonna watch any of the SoCal Wadapalooza or no?
Yeah, I might tune in a little bit. Might watch the fun events, the ones that look fun.
Yeah, they do look fun. Well, cool, man. I really appreciate your time. Thank you. I knew you'd make good on your bet because you're from the Midwest, and that's how we work in the Midwest. I'm from Ohio, so originally. I appreciate you coming on, and we will be looking for is WZA like for sure, pretty much for sure.
Yeah,
okay.
Sure on that one.
Well, we will look forward to seeing you there. I'm trying to get down there. My wife has given me permission as long as I bring them to the beach as well, which makes it much more expensive. So if I am there, I will say hello. And very appreciative, sir. We will all be looking forward to watching you this year and just seeing how high you can climb, man.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Rookie of the Year, Austin Hatfield. See you guys later.